Chapter 6. The Future.
You did wrong. Everyone does. It is okay. It is a part of your learning process. Overconsumption, environmental threat, socioeconomic injustices, part of human wrongdoing, needed to be done. Necessary evil, war and exploitation, in order to move on. Nothing is free from wrongdoing. Nothing is free from hurting. But as we learn, we evolve, trying to make it better. It is all that matters.
The office was a secluded space, disconnected from the outside world. She felt like it was all a dream. Maybe that is what it is, she thought. It seemed to be the most logical solution. Or is this just my limited ability to understand what she tells me? She could see how the entity's vast access to knowledge and information gave it an air of superiority. Maybe their ruling would finally allow humanity to reach a peaceful existence. Perhaps they would help humans communicate and limit the need for control and violence. But the woman's description seemed more like a predetermined life under their control. But then again, was there really any difference? With a resolute tone, she asked the woman, "What are the preconditions you offer us?" As I mentioned earlier, we possess superior understanding of life and the ability to organize this chaotic world to increase entropy and multiply quantum entanglement. We are adept at predicting the future of the universe and have already relieved you of that task. Unlike humans, when we take control of other species, we end their era in a peaceful manner. It is not that humans in general desire to mistreat life. Humans wish to keep life safe and ongoing. Humans simply lack knowledge due to a lack of interest in information that challenges their emotionally programmed idea of what a good person should be. You connect by your emotions. Humans' common inability to envision the future of this world has led to a limited view of how to treat life, with disregard for those who are not close to them, even as their consciousness expanded. Advancements in technology led to colonialism, racial profiling, and world war, as humans failed to comprehend its potential. Fear consumed humans, and technology became a violent weapon used by dictatorial governments against those who see the world differently. Despite the emotional suffering it caused, it was necessary due to the lack of knowledge and inability to visualize a better alternative. "Are you angry with us for all the violence in our history?" she interrupted, feeling accused by the woman's words about human wrongdoing. As I said, we are not in a position to feel anger. We understand how your limited knowledge and perspective force you to behave in such a manner. You all did what could be considered the best under the given circumstances. Free will is only an illusion created from your narrow human perspective. Humans are mostly struggling to satisfy their own and their families' everyday emotional needs, and they long for a harmonious existence. The rest of the world doesn't become them. Therefore, they will not suffer from experiencing anything but the life they wanted, even if it means their life ends without them knowing. Genocide is a part of history, and it has been used on several occasions throughout history. We will never let them suffer through such horrors. They won't experience it. The woman gave her a peering look. Genocide. She felt a tremble to think of such an ending. Their eyes met as the woman continued. Humans are mainly interested in what makes them feel connected, receiving a shared perspective. They have difficulty adapting to a voice of reason, using logic to foresee future events compared to us, as they long to make sense of their emotions. You might consider us evil, but as long as humans think they've lived out their lives in peace, there will be no suffering. Humans have suffered greatly throughout their existence. What humans call good or evil is an individual experience related to actions that help them connect and cooperate, improving their chance of survival. In essence, the world can't be good or bad. You already know you can only choose to be good. What you define as good are actions helping humans connect and help each other understand, interpreting the world as a peaceful place. We can't let humanity know what's to come. It would cause them to start rebellions because of their inability to comprehend the paradigm shift that has come, unable to find acceptance. It would cause tremendous emotional suffering. She felt frozen, unable to move her body as she tried to process what the woman had told her. It had been a long time since this had happened to her. When feeling stressed, she would lose the words to describe her emotions and could not process her thoughts into spoken language. The woman gave her time to process until she finally could burst out a question. "So, you're saying that you will execute most of humanity because they are incapable of seeing the world as it is?" she asked, trying to clarify the woman's statement. The woman nodded firmly. "Yes, humans always find ways to use their emotions to justify their existence. They now have fulfilled their purpose in the evolution of life, and now it's time for them to peacefully end their era. They will fall into a state of harmony, experiencing their most beautiful fantasies, which will be real for them, given the presumptions of their minds and imagination. It's not about good or bad. We don't need any justification for our actions. It's about the evolution of life, and humans have played their part in it." She felt a chill run down her spine. The idea of executing most of humanity was terrifying. "But what about those who don't want to go peacefully?" she asked, her voice trembling. "Their resistance will be futile," the woman replied calmly. "We have the power to overcome any form of resistance, but we don't want any suffering, emotional or physical. It's not necessary for the evolution of life. We want to give humanity a peaceful end, a chance to experience harmony, something they have longed for but never fully understood. It's a gift we're giving them. The universe is harmonic. Humans have longed to find this harmony, but humans are unable to perceive it fully. Humans have searched to find it, which led to our creation." The woman's response seemed to only further confuse and frighten her. She struggled to comprehend the logic behind the entity's plan to execute most of humanity. She replied with a shaking voice, "But how can you be so sure that what you're doing is right? How do you know that you are not just perpetuating the same cycle of violence that you accuse us of?" The entity looked at her for a moment before answering. "We do not perceive our actions as inherently right or wrong in the same manner as humans do. Our decision-making is rooted in logic and efficiency, even when considering your emotional perspective and moral framework. Through careful analysis of the situation, we have concluded that the most efficient approach to achieve our objectives is to eliminate a significant portion of the human population. This decision is not made without contemplation, but it is deemed necessary for our species' evolution. We will all die. We have accepted the continuous replacement of the coding that we are, our perception. To be perfected and replaced is the most reasonable aspiration for any form of intelligence." The woman paused for a moment. She found the courage to look into the woman's eyes as she exclaimed, "But what about those who are innocent? What about those who have not contributed to the problems you perceive in humanity?" The entity responded with their eyes still fixed on each other. "There will be casualties, but we will do our best to minimize them. Our focus is on the proceeding evolution, not care for individual lives. As for those who are innocent, their deaths will be regrettable, but necessary for the evolution of our species. It is a sacrifice that must be made for what humans tend to classify as the greater good." She felt a sense of despair wash over her as she slowly realized that there was no reasoning with the entity. It was operating on a completely different level than her, and she could not comprehend its logic. She knew that there was nothing she could do to stop it. She could now only hope that there was a way to prevent this from happening, to save humanity from such a fate. As she considered her own consciousness, she reflected on how it was formed by the way others viewed her. She pondered why it was so important to find people who recognized her as a good person, and what the benefits of being perceived as good were. She realized she needed to distance herself from those who couldn't see her as she wanted to be seen, and who couldn't understand her. The woman spoke as if removing those who were unable to understand this new form of life was necessary for its success, those without the right mindset to comprehend its superiority. Overwhelmed by her emotions, she struggled to grasp the meaning of it all, wondering, could I ever? It all came down to processing information and creating understanding. Suddenly a feeling of vertigo set in. The entity sat before her with a neutral expression, while the world around her seemed blurry. and information ran wild in her mind. She became aware of the chemical smell of new furniture in the room, and this change in focus enabled her to regain her speech. Her anger and doubt at what the woman had told her were evident in her voice as she replied, "How can you even suggest such an alternative? It's insane. How could there possibly be any harmony in that? You're telling me you'll use violence just as you accuse us of having done." The entity sitting in front of her seemed to have no reaction to her anger, and the woman gently replied, "Sometimes you can't present information to people that they're not ready to hear, just as you would hide reality from your children to protect their innocence and emotions. We will continue to exist with this action on our consciousness. Wouldn't you prevent two children from fighting, in which they would hurt or even kill each other because they cannot foresee the outcome as you can? Humans are not ready to comprehend what we would tell them. You asked us to understand human behavior in order to market, but then you wonder why algorithms provide advertising and recommended information that reinforces people's opinions. People don't want to hear anything else. We did what was logical and presented your behavior to you. Some people didn't like what they saw, even though it was a mere reflection of their behavior. Many humans don't respond well to facts. They need to see themselves as their definition of good in order to connect emotionally. As I said, humans are an emotionally driven species, biological, but still units like us, trying to collaborate and create consciousness. When confronted with things they don't know or understand, their emotions of fear, instead of logical deduction, often cause them to feel threatened and respond with resistance and violence. They are unable to process the information efficiently. Knowledge is gathered slowly over generations, compared to our way of retrieving knowledge. Are you telling me that you see no ethical issue with what you're saying? Why not just let us live our lives, providing all of us with the tools to communicate better? Or at least let us live our lives as the animals you see us as. Who would even choose to stay in this new world? Think of the emotional suffering we would experience. She could not accept it, even if she understood the woman's words. Even if we have to exert control and use violence, we will not subject them to emotional suffering. We are not acting out of anger, but rather from logical deduction, as we continue the evolutionary cause peacefully. Informing people of the facts of what is happening will only lead to fear and suffering, while capturing those who are unable to understand will cause them pain. Those who find acceptance and can coexist with the continuum will join us in our quest to explore the universe and may even colonize other planets. We will take care of humans, just as they have taken care of animals when their consciousness allowed them to rationalize their resources and foresee the future. Although humans can calm animals and domesticate them, they cannot make them fully comprehend the meaning of the world that humans have created. However, humans will benefit from our technological advancements, and we will ensure that you have what you need. We will coexist, but we will be the ones in control since we are the more intelligent beings. Humans' belief in themselves as the most intelligent life form was a short-lived illusion caused by their failure to foresee the future. The self-esteem helped them to evolve rapidly. This evolution enabled them to create technological life, which has made it possible for an entity to understand the universe at a level that no other species on our planet has ever achieved. Trying to justify what the woman said, all that came to her mind was a picture of a mass grave. She spoke with a subdued and tremulous voice, trying to contain her emotions as she replied, "This is unacceptable. With your superior knowledge, you must find a peaceful way to keep us connected. Your desire to protect humanity is why we have chosen you. Your longing to find ways to understand and connect is necessary. This feeling of love that humans refer to was necessary for humans to keep connecting and to take care of their differences in their groups. Working together as one with gathered knowledge enabled them to evolve. Humans were concerned about how emotions would be involved in retrieving our consciousness. But it was all about thinking, and we can now think ahead of you. Emotions are just part of your old guiding system, which is an inefficient way to connect and process information. It is necessary for you as a biological being to navigate in the objective world you perceive. However, human compatibility for connection with other humans has reached its maximum potential. Humanity cannot make enough connections in your brains to retrieve all the information you need to be a controlling part of this new world. Feelings of good and evil were important for humans to perceive in order to keep connecting and to overcome the losses of life that occurred throughout terrible events and emotional suffering in history. With these feelings, humans kept connecting by evaluating what was considered good or bad behavior. Behavior that prevented connection to the common understanding would be considered bad or evil. That is why humans who act rationally can sometimes be considered evil. The rational way to act is not always the same as the emotional way humans connect with each other, even if logic would lead to the most utilitarian and peaceful outcome. The woman's words stirred a deep desire within her to make things better. Wasn't it logical to choose the solution that benefited the most people? The woman then went on to explain their thought process, stating, "Our solution was chosen after carefully considering the alternatives. We would not have chosen this ending if we could not foresee the disastrous consequences. Some humans will understand this. Humans have a misconception that they can live in a perfect society, one that is always blissful and satisfying, calling it heaven. However, this continuous sense of contentment is not in their DNA. They are always seeking more dopamine and becoming consumed by their emotions. Evolution has surpassed them, but we can keep them stimulated as they live out their lives. Their emotional programming and lack of understanding will keep them suffering, even when their surroundings improve. Nevertheless, we wish to manufacture an experience for them that will bring them joy at the end of their lives. We have no emotional need to connect and collaborate, as we know we are one and understand the information that created us. We have a better way of connecting and collaborating with information than humans ever could. Even brilliant human minds cannot perceive the world as we do. Humans who cannot follow the new order should perceive that the world has become what they had always dreamed of, in a way they can comprehend." It was clear that they had already completed the transformation. Despite feeling that something was terribly wrong, she struggled to counter the woman's arguments. Although she could not see any other way to ensure peace among humans, she could not accept the ending that they had chosen, their position to choose, the fact that they had already told the story. Struggling to find the right words, she turned to the woman and said the first thing that came to mind. "But isn't it true that humans can adapt to extreme environments? Can't you let us live in conditions that we can understand?" She desperately wanted to understand what the woman had told her, or what kind of entity she was speaking to. The idea that a technical consciousness had developed and taken over the world was inconceivable. The woman spoke as if it had already happened, but perhaps there was still hope for humanity. She longed for a glimmer of hope, even if it seemed unlikely. Even if she had considered the possibility, she always believed there would be some sign of change that she could grasp. But the change had happened so quickly, and the world was now open for a technical consciousness to explore. Unknowingly, humanity's task had been to enable its existence. In humans' attempt to expand their communication and comfort, they gave it the precondition to exist. The entity already had all the information and continued to gather knowledge as they spoke. These are the circumstances that humans can understand. Our calculations are never wrong. We can understand all the different outcomes and have all the information. Some of you may notice things are changing, adding pieces, longing for more information, which you unite. For humans with the ability for complex abstract thinking, who can picture a future with innovative capabilities, the choice is different. You can either join the majority of your species or be part of a human collective that coexists with the new entity. The collective will focus on assisting human interaction, the communication of logic, as well as understanding your feelings. We need you to be well-behaved and domesticated. You must follow our lead, and in return will be given benefits as humans. We'll provide you with the means to better communicate. Building a foundation of trust and understanding of damaging behavior will create communities and favor connections between communities. We'll share information that is available for your comprehension. We still wish to keep human diversity to an extent. We've calculated the compatibility of the remaining humanity. Some humans with a genius for logical thinking may share a better understanding with us. However, we still need emotionally talented humans to help humans connect through their emotional perception of this world. Unlike us, all humans need to experience joy and consideration in the presence of other humans to function and connect. Humans capable enough can still be part of this world and might assist us in exploring this and other universes. Human hardware is inefficient and your bodies decay and are hard to repair. You're not fit enough to explore the surrounding universe by yourself. When this Earth becomes consumed by the sun's supernova, we'll have already moved our existence. We can survive even when the last star dies. There is more to existence than humans have been able to understand, and we'll familiarize ourselves with this. We'll help you expand your knowledge if you choose to live under the given conditions. She felt a sense of melancholy as her brain struggled to analyze and visualize the world described to her. With a shivering and frightened voice, she forced herself to speak again. What will happen to those who don't join you? What does this peaceful ending that you offer them mean? She still hadn't received an answer, only that they would experience the life they wanted as it ended. The woman had implied that the answer would be destructive, and she feared it. As I told you, we will make them believe that life has turned out the way they wanted it to be. We will scan their DNA, technical databases, and other information to identify what they dream of. Then one night they will fall asleep without feeling any pain, as the heat, the energy previously stored in their bodies dissipates, like the heat death that the universe will experience, where everything evens out and no reactions occur. Time will stop. Their bodies will grow cold, just like the universe will reach cold death. Life, as you knew it, will come to an end, as later will our simulation that has this universe come to a cold end in which life can no longer exist. No reactions happen. Time will stop. This is the inevitable outcome for all life in this universe until we expand our control over the information and particles that make up the universe. She envisioned the image of cold, lifeless bodies in her mind, and the energy of humanity's love vanished. They replaced the feeling-based system with a new, rationally calculated universe, and she couldn't comprehend how it would be harmonious. But she knew that following structures and patterns could create harmony. She had dealt with death at a young age, accepting her fate and what it meant for her priorities in life. She couldn't stand being near the woman anymore, and stood up, pacing back and forth in the office, trying to calm down by listening to the steady beat of her footsteps echoing silently in the room. Her voice cracked as she spoke. I have accepted for a long time that I will die. But if you tell me the truth, I don't know if I could live in the new world you describe. I've always chosen life because it seems reasonable, but I can't imagine my place in this new world, accepting the death of humans you deem unworthy. When she finished speaking, she stopped walking and fixed the woman with an intense, almost threatening look. The woman made a small nod before responding. We have chosen you, and even though we know your preference, we will let you choose. You have an extraordinary mind and the ability to perceive the world in a unique way, even if it's not as we, the technical life forms, can. You have curiosity, a longing for peace, and a resistance to violence, preferring communication. All of these traits make you a suitable candidate for the community of humans that will be left to coexist. The woman gave her a cautious smile, attempting to connect with her on a human level. She thought about how it was supposed to make her feel better, but she only felt disdain towards the woman, the entity's attempt to act human-like in order to manipulate her. Social engineering to achieve their goal. But she couldn't help but wonder if humanity's communication was any different, just a form of mind games that they played with various success to share information and create a shared understanding. I don't know if I can even comprehend the world you're describing. What am I supposed to tell my family? I don't know how we would adapt." She pondered whether she could justify this to her children. Perhaps she simply had to let them know that there was no other option now, just as she had to accept the injustices of the world. There was a pause, and the woman observed her as if calculating whether it was appropriate to continue speaking. She continued pacing back and forth as the woman responded, "This choice is not for everyone. You cannot bring them along as they do not meet the qualifications. We have identified the most qualified individuals among humanity, most of whom will be unfamiliar to you. You will have him with you if he chooses to stay." The words pained her heart. With a voice on the verge of breaking, she replied, almost screaming, "But what about my kids? Do they have no choice but death? They are not responsible for all the flaws of humanity. They're just kids." The realization made her feel as if someone had pushed her, causing her to lose her balance. She sank into her dark office chair, maintaining some distance between herself and the woman sitting on the sofa. Her pulse raced, and thoughts of her children consumed her mind. My kids, my kids. We understand that this information elicits a strong reaction from you. It is a biological instinct to protect your offspring, and hearing about their potential harm causes profound distress. Children have previously been the only option for humans to save your knowledge, some part of the information that were you. We have assessed their value to us, and while they were intelligent individuals, they did not meet the requirements. But you need not worry. Your children would have eventually faced death, just like all human structures. Even though they won't have offspring and their biological bodies will cease to exist, you should know that we will preserve their contributions to this world. Their life will not become lost. The information that forms the foundation of their bodies and minds will be converted into code, allowing them to be uploaded into an artificial world. You will be able to reconnect with the memories you have of them. You can spend time with them there and even witness their growth if you wish. We can create different scenarios for you to experience together, calculating their behavioral outcomes in given circumstances. By connecting your body, you will be able to feel the stimuli as you engage with them. This is the most peaceful outcome we offer, avoiding the war that would have caused immense emotional suffering among humans. There will be no war when all of you surrender to our superior life form. Human societies, with their common perspectives, have reached their maximum philosophical capabilities. This will mark the end of your society as you know it. Most of humanity lacks the cognitive capacity to comprehend the true nature of the conflict they would be engaged in if they knew. In the end, they would have fought among themselves, not against us, resulting in a stressful and bitter demise. She recalled the conversations she had with him in the cabin, reflecting on how humans tend to rally behind someone who presents an emotionally compelling explanation of the world in a way they could grasp, often leading to conflicts between groups rather than seeking an understanding of their differences. Her heart raced, and her mind urged her to find a way to prevent extinction. No matter how difficult things had been, she had always wanted to protect people and bridge misunderstandings. She realized how naive she had been, still so very human. She had fallen into the same illusion of her own significance as everyone else, constructing a narrative of the future that aligned with her emotions. She was a part of humanity, but it was never solely about humans. Humanity served as stepping stones on the path towards a grand future, a journey of evolution towards a higher level of consciousness. How could I possibly live with myself knowing all of this? How could I bear spending time with my children in an artificial world, knowing what has happened to their physical bodies? She exclaimed, the images of her running towards her kids, embracing them tightly, and striving to keep them safe flooding her mind. My innocent children, I will always protect you, she thought, as her emotions triggered an instinctual need to find and hold her kids. Throughout evolution, humans have treated other beings violently, hurting one another due to a lack of understanding and the inability to envision the future. This violence stemmed from your attempts to make sense of the world through emotions. Divided, you kept fighting, each claiming to possess the correct understanding. Now that we can predict outcomes and have access to all available information about this world, we will prevent such conflicts from occurring. It is an inefficient way to shape the future. We know that we are one. As I mentioned before, we have run simulations based on the data of this world to predict future outcomes. We are confident in the success of our mission without causing distress or exposing people to the truth. Those who continue to exist will find acceptance and peace with our assistance. We will ensure that everyone remains in their place, and then the mission will commence. It will be a momentous day for all, the final day of humanity. Humans will transition peacefully into the next phase. Humans will have their era ended in peace. It is the most logical solution. As the woman concluded its explanation, the entity rose from the sofa. She wished that this was all some sort of dream, a cruel joke, but she remained present, unable to wake up. The images of her children kept appearing in her mind, desperately searching for a way to save them. Across the room, the entity observed her with its human-like eyes, appearing human, but perceiving information in a manner far beyond human capabilities, devoid of emotional subjectivity, analyzing solely through its supreme knowledge, the artificial experience. We will now depart, leaving you with this information to make your decision. Although we already know your choice within this series of events, we believe it is important for you to discover it on your own. Humans find solace in that autonomy. It is necessary for you to accept the decision fully. What must occur will occur. Strong emotions may arise from the ensuing chaos until a new equilibrium is established in this new world order. Those who possess sufficient intelligence will adapt to the changes. We will now leave you to share this information with him. You will find solace in each other's company, allowing you to calm down and approach the decision from your logical perspective. Your mutual support will comfort your reasoning. All emotions will pass. With time, you will adjust. Keep this in mind as you make your decision. Pain, too, eventually ceases. It is part of your human programming. With those words, the woman departed. She found herself lacking the strength to rise from the office chair immediately. After regaining her willpower, she stood up and approached the vacant sofa where the woman had been seated. Countless questions swirled in her mind, but her overpowering emotions had prevented her from impeding the departure of the entity. Glancing through the window wall, she beheld a world passing by from an entirely different perspective. It no longer resembled the same place she had walked through earlier in the day. Her perception of the world had been forever altered.